It is March 3rd, 2021, and Star Trek, the original series, Season 1, Episode 21 or 19, depending what order you go by, is over and has been since 1967. We're just getting started here on Ted Trek Original Series Rewatch Wednesdays. Let's bring in my dad, Ted Mater, the namesake of this podcast. How are you doing tonight, Dad?
Doing great. I'm stuck home at home as usual.
Yeah, you're talking to us about Star Trek, these pandemic times.
We're going back to 1967 in real life. So this episode represents a real life. You got to remember, this whole thing was happening. Those rockets, that's actually real footage.
That's real footage. No, it starts off right in this time period. And we have one more panelist to talk about this and break this all down tonight. We have Adam Woodward. How are you doing tonight, Adam?
Hey, guys. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good.
Hey, and Ted, what a better way to be like doing something in pandemic time than talking about Star Trek every week. That's
right. Yeah.
What a life we live. And we, as mentioned, we're talking about season 1, episode 21 or 19. Tomorrow is yesterday, and as Dad mentioned, it starts off right in the late 1960s. I'm told it's about 1969 because it's around the time the space program would be going really to the moon and all that. So it's supposed to kind of correspond with that. But yeah, Dad, this is a time travel episode. This is a fish out of water story. There's a lot of interesting things going on with this, but you lived in this time. You were alive in the late 1960s, so did it bring you back?
Yeah, it brings back it was an interesting time for sure. But at the same time, those space, the plane, the guy that was flying in the plane, I guess that would be like an F-15 kind of equivalent back in that era, whatever that would be.
Yeah, and we have a shot here of this is his plane as it appears at the U.S. Air Force. I don't know aircrafts very well. I think it's an F-15 maybe. But that's the story. The story is pretty straightforward in that it's 1960s. They're at this Air Force base, and Dad, just turn down your volume a bit.
Okay.
It's just a little loud. They're in the 1960s, and then suddenly they get something on the radar. They've never seen something like before. It's going too fast, and then the cold open ends with the cliffhanger. The UFO that they're tracking in present day 1960s is the Enterprise. Dun dun dun. Roll credits. So that's the premise of the episode. We see the Enterprise up against this blue sky, this in the clouds. I think that's the first time we've ever seen that. And it wasn't done very much in the original series at all. So I gotta say, I really enjoyed this. I've seen this before, but this is a good story. Adam, how do you feel about Tomorrow Is Yesterday?
I love this premise. I like when they go back in time, into whatever's going on at the time. I think this episode for me was one of those ones I knew I would like it last week when I recommended it. I forgot a lot of it. But I enjoy the timepiece. I enjoy the history that's going on. I guess, and it's really cool, Ted, that you called it out. It's actually happening at that point. This is like real time. And Dave, before we get too much into it, I really do like when they bring the Enterprise into the atmosphere, and especially in the new movies, they've done it quite often. But in that old, it looked good. With the high definition, it looked good. Like this whole episode.
A lot of things going on. We get this time travel stuff here where they have to slingshot around the sun, which. And I know, Adam, you're a fan of the movie Star Trek 4, where they do pretty much the same move. They kind of said we did this before, and they're referencing this episode. So this is kind of the prequel to that. However, the person out of time in that movie, Gillian Taylor, she doesn't get returned neatly as these two officers do from the Air Force in this story, where they're kind of just put back to where they were already, and there's kind of sort of a reset effect by the end of this where none of it happened.
Well, with her, though, she wanted to come along, right?
She wanted to come along, and they were in a bird of prey, and things were they had to move faster, and there's other circumstances there. But yes, it was interesting to see all that tonight, see all that play out. But yeah, let's get into the plot and kind of just the reactions and what we thought of the episode overall. So I think we're all pretty positive on it. But then we get into Act 1, which is pretty much the Enterprise is been disheveled. They were pulled into a black hole or something, and something happened.
A black star. A black star.
Black Star.
Yeah, they were heading to Starbase 9, which is kind of in the direction of Earth, and something weird happened. All of a sudden, they ended up back in the 1960s.
I love that they don't have to explain what a black star is either. It's something bad.
Yeah,
bad. Something weird happened. Now we're here. Okay, and I have no problems with that at all.
Even me neither. It's just okay.
Okay, you're here. Okay, now that you are here, let's see how this plays out. And it's this. Just watching the first time. This is the first time Star Trek has done a time travel episode. So Kirk is really aloof in this, because it is the first time they're doing one. Because like Spock has to point out a lot of things to him here, because as soon as they're up there, and then once they kind of get their power and they kind of figure out what's going on, this plane is coming at them. Their systems are coming on too slow, and Kirk orders a tractor beam onto the fighter plane, and Spock's like, "You bozo, come on, like that's gonna crush that ship." And he's like, "Oh, okay, transporter room, beam him up." And Spock's like, do you think maybe don't beam up this guy from another time period?" And then Kirk's showing him around the ship, and Kirk, James T. Kirk. This guy, he loves these historical figures. We see this again when he meets the Abraham Lincoln recreation, and other times he goes back in time. City on the Edge of Forever is after this, and other things.
I think he needs to impress people.
Yeah, he needs to impress these people all the time, and he's so enamored.
He's like giving this guy way too much attention. Like
yeah.
In the next gen world, he would have just been sedated and put on a bed until they figured out what to do with him.
Right. Yeah. We get here is where I got the photo here, where this big moment where Kirk meets Captain Christopher. What's his name? Captain John Christopher is here as he appears on this transporter pad very early in the episode in his flight suit. Wants answers, and throughout the course of this episode, after Spock kind of points out, "Hey, you can't put him back with what he's seen and done here. Like and he's like he didn't do anything in history. Don't worry about it. So it doesn't matter." But Captain Christopher will.
How would you like that, by the way? How would you like to hear that? Oh, you're meaningless in history.
Yeah, no significant contributions.
Like never mind my kids at my home and my wife, and
even take it with us back to Starbase 9.
That's not very logical either, because what about his descent? Like, he does say, yeah, your son, you're the son that's yet to be born, but he could have been like a distant descendant of his too. They could have done something, or even done something insignificant that affected something significant. And it
kind of reminded me a little bit of the one with Joan Collins in it. Like when she changed history.
But that was a great episode too, though.
Yeah.
I like that fact. And Dave, I don't know, maybe you can correct me, but I can't remember any other science fiction at that time that dealt with time change that actually called out, if we do something here, it will influence the future.
The only thing would have been Doctor Who, which is specific to England and Britain.
Yeah, it was still pretty new at that point. Doctor Who.
Doctor Who's a little older than Star Trek. So Doctor Who started in like 1963, I believe.
All right, but so still pretty new then.
Still new, and American audiences definitely weren't watching it.
No.
So it's not many shows. I don't know if Lost in Space or
Lost in Space never did time travel. Right? They were just lost. So
right, and so they're having a lot of fun. Like, I grew up in the time of Back to the Future and Marty McFly, so time travel has been in my life since I can remember, But at this time, I do get the impression that this being in time, and I think having their Star Trek characters interact with people from the 1960s, which is when this is made and airing on TV in NBC, I think they're having a lot of fun with it. Very much like when the other Star Trek shows would do this later. I remember when Voyager went to Los Angeles in the 1990s, which is when they were doing their show. there's kind of a feeling, like a contemporary feeling to it that you can never get. You can recreate a time period. You can recreate the 1960s today, in a movie, but it will never be the same as this.
No.
When you're in this time.
And what else was again, Star Trek setting the standard on what I guess the science fiction or just the storytelling around time travel is, right? Because you mentioned Back to the Future. I mean, they talked about all the variances and stuff you can do in history by just changing one thing.
Yeah, even meeting yourself or whatever here. But yeah, so it's great because it introduces this whole new aspect to Star Trek that like City on the Edge of Forever is not that long after. It's only 4 episodes after this, but they could do all these kind of great possibilities, not just with aliens and weird anomalies and different things that they come across. Okay, and then as we get through the plot, I also want to talk about this computer problem that Kirk was having tonight in this episode, where they had visited some planet Signet 14, and
oh god, yes, yeah,
and it was a female dominated society who installed a computer that called Captain Kirk dear and giggled too much, according to Spock. I thought they should have left this thing. I think they could have done more of this. I think this was great. Kirk and Spock fighting with the computer for being too sassy.
And we have to go to dry dock for 3 months to fix it. And oh my god, so
it was good. I enjoyed this a lot. And Captain Christopher's comment of "you people have interesting problems."
it was funny. There was some good lines in this, and even the wacky little music. Wah, 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 it was good around that. Fun. I like that part.
No, it was good. Like little moments. There's not really a dull moment. I think for me the most tiresome thing, if there is one, is sort of Captain Christopher's like quest to get out of here. And how many times he like tries to escape or whatever. I get it. I understand his motivations. I don't think it's the questioning. I just think in terms of the storytelling and the writing, I think it's 3 times, right? Or at least twice that he does this, where he attacks somebody, he steals their phaser. He was going to make that transporter chief send him back down. And later on when he won't help Spock unless Spock lets him go with him, and then he tries to pulls another gun on them just so he can stay home. So what do we make here of Captain Christopher? I think my take here is this: Captain Kirk gives this guy way too much leeway, considering what he is, where he's from, what he's bound to do. And the only reason I can come up with it is because there's just this. It's the time period. It's the 1960s. It's America. He's a member of the armed forces, and Captain Kirk, to be likable, needs to be sort of affable towards him.
Even as so far as they put him in a captain's uniform.
Yeah. They're like they refer to the different services. Oh, you're in the service. I'm in the service, and
yeah, but I mean, he's still.
You guys are pretty fit in the service still.
Yeah, fit.
I was surprised at that. I thought they could put him in the quarter. They're going to put him in a jumpsuit or something, but no, they give him full rank.
Full rank. Not even Khan would get such a thing. Yes, but like I just Captain Christopher, not my favorite part, but he serves his purpose well. And then the computer. Okay. And then there's sort of like, we found your plane, Captain Christopher. It's destroyed, but they kind of figure out that they need to get the film and they need to get the records. However, I guess it's just because Spock doesn't figure out how to do the time travel thing till the end. That's why they have to do this. But it turns out none of this is necessary, right?
It's funny how they have a pilot missing, a plane crashed, and they've got video of possibly this ship, and they lock it in this room with like kind of a guy walking by every half an hour.
Yeah, it was a locked door.
Really would have happened that they would have had guys around the clock looking at this thing, and at least they would have today, I'm pretty sure, to find out what the heck this is and where's our guy and all this stuff, right?
Right. This top secret classified information about this UFO was stored in this sort of unassuming room in
at the 498 Air Base Group.
Yeah, at the Statistical Services Division, of all things, not like the CIA or anything like that. It's you think this kind of stuff?
I like how Kirk just brushed it off. Oh, they get this all the time in the '60s.
There's mysteries, there's UFOs. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody will care. But the one thing I did, this whole infiltration mission, the stealth mission to get the photos and the film and whatever. Could they not have put on a disguise? Could they not at least put on like a uniform?
A uniform,
like an Air Force uniform. They at least look like they belong there.
They were quick to hand out Christopher a uniform, contemporary uniform. Why wouldn't they give him get in the right uniform?
What they could have done when they went into that room there, they could have sealed it with the phaser or something, so no one could open the door. So they'd be in there and no one could open it, and they could beam out, right?
Yeah, like their whole plan here is very sloppy. I
think honestly that part of the writing was the fact that they don't really respect the they think that they're definitely above the guys from the '60s.
I would say that's very much. Maybe their overconfidence is showing that they feel like they're so much more advanced and so much better than the people from the 1960s. And I think that maybe that is. I don't know if it's intentional, but it feels like that's kind of the point in some places that the people of contemporary people are capable of getting the drop on them in some cases. They just don't understand transporters yet. They don't understand things that Kirk knows about, but it doesn't make him any more capable, really.
And coming back to Christopher too, is I like the line, on the bridge where, I can't remember how it went, but something about, I don't believe in little green men and neither do I, and
Spock says that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always find it fascinating that people look at Spock and his ears, and this is such, oh my God, look at that man. And it's just his ears. But
it doesn't really work so well. I don't know. They do it in
Vulcan haircut.
He's got that Vulcan. It's more the haircut, I think, really. And the eyebrows, I guess, that make him
the whole package.
It's the whole package. Like it's nothing compared to when Lily sees Worf in Star Trek First Contact, right? And she goes, "Whoa, who are you?" He's like, "I'm a Klingon. We don't have time for this," And it's kind of like that same moment here with Spock, where he's like, "I don't believe in little green men, but I got pointy ears and green blood and all that." And then there was the sergeant guy who didn't really say much once he was catatonic, right? Once he got beamed up.
He's that look on his face. Oh my God.
He's like, oh, and so when he beamed up with that gun, because he catches Kirk and Sulu in the room and holds them up with his revolver, and then he takes their communicator, and that causes him to trip the emergency signal, which makes him beam up. But he could have shot them with that revolver when he materialized on that pad, right?
He couldn't do anything.
Oh no, it worked out for them. They were lucky that he kind of just froze and was like, I don't know what to do. But he could have had another reaction potentially that wouldn't have been so fun. Yeah, but in at least the Next Generation era, they can deactivate weapons in the transporter and stuff like that. But they never do it in the original show.
No. But at least he got his chicken soup.
He got his chicken soup. Yeah, actually, he wasn't catatonic. He got hungry, and he was like, "Where's my chicken soup?" He was so that they were showing the replicator, or the food dispenser, I think they call it in this era. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I think just kind of showing off the future and whatever else. I'd also like to, as it's going on, so they beam up the guy, and then Sulu and Kirk keep doing their thing. And just as they're wrapping up, Kirk's like, you know what? I'm going to do a final sweep, which, of course, you know where this is going. He as he goes up to do his final sweep, he runs into three officers, Air Force officers, and he has quite the fisticuffs with them. He has this Batman-esque punch-out fight, Dad.
Yeah. I like the one on the door.
Ted, one of them looked like Keith Rondu. I couldn't believe
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like
one of those days.
I've never tried to fight 3 people at once, but Kirk was sure giving it his all.
Diving with legs, and he was on the floor, and he rolling.
Yeah, he threw his body at one guy, like fully sideways. It was great.
It's a good fight.
It was a good fight, but then they were all very calm about it afterwards. Did you like this little interrogation here with Kirk and this colonel who let me tell you, Mister.
That's Keith.
Keith. That's Keith Rondeau.
Yeah.
That's Keith.
Skipper. Yeah, he's there. Yeah, was this the actual Air Force uniform at the time, by the way?
I don't know. So. Maybe the gray part, but I don't think I think he would have had a tie on.
Yeah, I was like, why are they wearing like turtlenecks or what's going on here? And the pants didn't match the jackets; they were different colors, and I don't know. They probably didn't matter, but in high def, it wasn't looking so sharp to me here. But Kirk, I guess he's just biding his time. But he also is enjoying just kind of playing here with the colonel. He's like, well, you should go to.
As long as he can keep them there, the Sulu's getting away.
Yeah. He was taking one for the team. He was like, Sulu, get out of here. Right. And I love when Sulu beamed up, or and Spock's like, you did the right thing, Sulu, and Sulu's like, I did.
I did the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah. He shows no remorse for Kirk, and of course,
the captain.
You just left your captain behind, buddy.
Yeah. Usually, you see most Starfleet like Star Trek characters go, "Oh, I can't believe I had to leave him behind." Right? Not Sulu. He was quite fine with it.
Yeah, he's come away from botany, and he's in a new department. He's feeling good about it.
Yeah, he's
in sabotage now. He moved up.
Yeah, but there's always this person to worry about what's going on with Kirk, and that's McCoy. He's just like, Spock, if you stopped your computations for a second and cared what's going on.
Did you find that McCoy had a really heavy makeup on in this episode?
I didn't notice that, but I did. I just noticed that McCoy was doing what McCoy's always going to do, which is worry about what's going on with Kirk, while Spock pretends he's not worried or tries to hide that. But no, I guess it was only a couple scenes with McCoy. There's the one where they're in the sick bay with Captain Christopher. But no, I didn't notice that. Dad, did you?
No, I didn't notice it. But I mean, yeah, he might have. That's very possible.
Very possible. Okay, and then after all that plays out, they rescue the captain. That's kind of what did they do? They just walk in. They just walk in and beat those 3 guys, and they do the neck pinches, right? Like Spock does a couple of neck pinches, and
yeah, that I remember that reminded me. As a kid, I really wanted to do that to people, and I could never.
Thinking it would work.
It's very convenient. They're not doing like the sound effect at this point, I guess, like the doo-doo that they'll do pretty much every time he does it after, or at least in the later seasons. But at this point, yeah, it's just kind of a quiet thing. And I we already talked about Christopher trying to turn the tables on them again.
You can't blame Christopher. I mean, listen, you got a life and a home and family back home, and you're told you're never going home again. Like,
I get it. I get it. It's just, yeah, and if they have to if they just don't have anything else to fill the time with, I guess that's as good of a thing to do as anything. But
Uhura's hair was a lot different in this episode too.
Uhura?
Yeah. Her hair.
Yeah. Well, I just took that as that she was all disheveled from the Actually, that reminds me. While we're talking on Uhura, because early on when Captain Kirk brings up Captain Christopher onto the ship, right? They pass a female crewman, right?
Yeah.
And she says, "Good morning, Captain." Like, this is after the ship has just been thrown through some kind of black star, and she's in the 1960s. But otherwise, she's relatively well adjusted for the morning. And so she's like, "Hey, Captain," and they played like this. Wah, 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 like this kind of like porno music or so. I don't know how else to but it's like the Star Trek theme with like what word am I looking for? Sleazy or something like effect to it. And I guess we've talked about this a lot, like this idea of men and women in the service serving together was like crazy. right, to the 1960s, and they really, or I guess a world of possibilities for the men, because they were like, "Isn't this great? We can date and do our jobs at the same time." I don't know. Like, it just feels out of place. Feels interesting, I guess.
Yeah, again, out of everything about Star Trek, it just watching today. Sorry, Ted. Watching, 2020 or 21 now.
Yeah.
The way that women are depicted, and my wife and I've been watching Mad Men. I never watched Mad Men until recently. It is nuts. like what was acceptable, and I don't know, different time.
Right, and we like it's a different time, but it's always I gotta note it. I have to note it, but like the rest of it does hold up. Like this is still a great story, and that's just one piece. But yeah, it did.
One more thing there too with that is that when Christopher was trying to get home, and there's always this underlying comment like, what's going to happen to us? How are we going to get home? Because they're, and then McCoy again. Well, get back to your calculations. I'm doing them now. Spock.
I'm doing them now.
That easy.
But I don't think there was ever the fear, like, okay, because again, McCoy was saying, well, what if we can't go home? Where we go? But it wasn't really a panic. There's no this drive to leave, right? It's just, we'll do it.
I think they knew they were going to get back somehow. They seemed pretty confident in that they would do something. But McCoy, I think, is always going to be the pessimist of the group. He's always like the worst case scenario guy,
But I didn't think he felt. I didn't think he was like that in this episode.
Well, he's the only one who expresses much about it. Scotty does a little bit too. He's like, we have nowhere to go in this time once I get the engines fixed. And McCoy says, you talk about you can't send Captain Christopher back, but what are you going to do with like 490 people on this ship? Because we saw in Star Trek First Contact, another time travel story, that if they were going to get stranded in 2063, they were just going to find an island and live there or something and try to stay out of history's way. But that doesn't, they don't really talk about that kind of a possibility, which I don't think is the best scenario. Like, how are you going to go live and stay out of history's way? Exactly. How does that work? But that's
where planets were, even, so they could have had an idea of where to go.
Yeah. Well, the fact that they had their ship and because McCoy's like, what do we wait for our power and our reserves to run out? Well, no, you could also, you have a ship. You could, if you can't get out of this time period for some reason, then you can just go find a planet and park there or something, and live out your days, but potentially.
Was this the episode where the guy, did he say to Kirk, you're going to go to jail for like 200 years?
Yes.
And Kirk
yeah,
says,
he says.
Yeah, that's just about right.
That's just about right. It's more like 300, but it's all right,
Yeah.
And but that was great. They loved the fact that they're in this. You're in our time now. You're going to deal with us, soldiers. That's really. I don't have a lot of plot points. Okay, just the whole thing, the whole sequence to get home. Does it work for you, Dad? The whole idea, like, we're gonna go around the sun.
Yeah, this is really supposedly originally this was supposed to be a 2-part series. This episode, along with that other one, Assignment Earth. This was supposed to be mixed together with those 2 episodes because they both go back to 1969.
Right. Yes. And so the day that Jane was, because Dad had mentioned before the show started that he had watched Assignment Earth by accident. First, and then watch this.
Yeah,
and I've never really watched Assignment Earth.
I think that's the logical one to watch next, only because it is in the same time frame, same era as this one. So it's probably the logical one.
But like, it aired in season. When did Assignment Earth air? Like,
I think in season 1.
There's Operation Annihilate.
No.
Oh, Assignment Earth is at the end of season 2, Dad.
Oh, at the end of season. Well,
so they didn't air it for another year.
But it's very similar to this episode in going back in time, and you'll find it's very similar. And,
let's watch it. Let's do it.
There's a lot of interesting space footage from that episode. Of launching rockets into space, which is what we saw as kids on TV when we were watching the moon landing, moon spaceships and stuff.
Okay, well, we should check them out, see how, because
There
they
was
do have a
rocket.
similar time period and things.
As a kid, I would say that there was a rocket going into space every 8 to 10 months.
At this
And
time, right?
it was a big thing, and you as a family watched that on TV. You watched that because a couple of them blew up in space on the way up, and one of them blew up on the launch pad, and so it was
Oh,
never
wow.
one of the rockets.
And then that one happened in '84. Was it the Challenger that
Oh,
blew up?
that was a shuttle, but that did blow up too. That was it wasn't in '84 because I was in Montreal at the time. I didn't go there.
It was before Star Trek 4.
It was in '84 or '85. I was in grade 9. I was on my lunch hour. I remember watching.
85 or '86, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I know I was technically alive during that time, but I missed. I don't remember any ships going up. I don't remember any space launches or anything blowing up for that matter.
Yeah, as a kid, you never watched them because by that point in time, they were fairly commonplace, and the shuttle was coming back. It was like a big plane that was jettisoned into space, whereas these rockets were more of a big long rocket, and it would go up and it would separate and you get to watch it going up and separating, and then they'd have like artist conception almost of it as it's going into space. And then if it went around the orbit, which most of the ones in the late 60s and even mid to late 60s, they didn't go in orbit. They kept going toward the moon. So they became like then animations of going to the moon, and then they would either land on the moon with the orbiter, or they would, in some cases, they just went around the moon and came back, and it was just like we went around the dark side of the moon, if you will.
Yeah, well, like I guess the only thing I'm sort of like saddened by is the fact that like there was all this excitement for space travel in the 1960s, and that did continue, it seems, for a little bit into the 70s. But
it did in the 80s. Like when the shuttle started going, it was a big deal. I was in primary school at the time. I remember going to the gym and they putting a little TV. We all watched the first launch. I mean, it was a big deal. But like, didn't you get a little excited last week when they're in Mars? Like you stuff coming back from it? Like,
that's cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I still do. I've never lost interest in NASA, space travel, any of it, but it seems like the public largely did for a long time.
For a long time, especially after, which was it Discovery that blew up the second time? I think the second one.
Enterprise?
No, Enterprise.
Well, yeah, I can't remember that.
It was a test one. The second shuttle that blew up over Texas.
The Challenger, right? That was the Challenger.
Challenger was the first one. Challenger was the first one. Then there was a second one in like 2003 or 2.
Yeah. Did that one crash on coming back or going?
2003. Yeah, the space shuttle Columbia disaster.
Columbia. Yeah. So that was the first shuttle. Columbia was the first shuttle into space, and it was still in use in 2001 or 3, pardon me, and that's when it exploded. I remember that. Yeah. So that was Saturday.
7 deaths. Yeah, I don't remember that actually.
Well, we were in a race. I mean, we being the West, were in a race with the Russians on who would get the first man on the moon. And so that was the big push in that late 60s, was who's going to get the first man on the moon, and then that race to the moon.
Right. We have all this technological advancement from wars and bad things, right?
But I'm coming back to Mars last week and the week before. It was just, I'm excited when they actually start a manned mission there, because I think that's something that the planet will get behind and be excited about again, and to see that, because that's a major accomplishment.
Did you see what they launched yesterday in the States? They're putting a hotel in space. So it's going to be like a building, like a hotel, and you'll go up and you can stay there for a week, and then they'll bring you back, and you can stay in this revolving hotel for a week and live in space for a week. And they showed pictures of it and everything. It was fantastic.
That sounds cool. Is that Elon Musk doing that?
Well, I think he might be something to do with him. But this is 2025, 2026.
Wow. I think we should keep doing all this. I've watched enough science fiction to know that we as a species, as a human race, like we shouldn't be putting all our eggs in one basket, and the basket being Earth, and putting all of our people in one place because of an asteroid hits. Like that's we're done.
It's game over, man.
Yeah, and a lot of people go, "I'll be dead," so who cares? But I care. I'd rather see our history, our culture, our art, everything like continue on, in some form into the future. That's
watch for that hotel in space.
I'll be looking for
I
that.
bet your trip to go there costs a few bucks.
There's actually, Dave, another asteroid movie that just came out on Netflix, Greenland, Jared Butler.
I haven't seen that one.
It's worth watching.
I watched this one on Netflix with George Clooney that was pretty good.
Gravity?
So what's it called?
Gravity?
Gravity. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Gravity was great. I like that movie. But Greenland's about an asteroid coming to Earth and wiping us all out. It's a good movie. Good 90 minutes.
And that's all to say, I think I'm hoping there's going to be a more interest in space travel and advancement. I think there is. I feel like it's starting to pick up again, but for 20, 30 years, it kind of went away.
Yeah, there was a lot of why spend the money? But
I think it's getting way more affordable as the technology grows.
Well, what they're doing, Ted, it's Elon Musk's the world who are privately funding this stuff and saying, okay, we're going to save NASA. You guys are going to work with us. We're going to fund you. It's not the government money anymore, and that's why things are getting going again.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like SpaceX is a private company.
Well, an interesting thing I read the other day is that the batteries for Tesla, they're mostly being developed in Halifax at Dalhousie University. That's the main place where they're being developed. And the batteries now that they've got, and this is from just a few years of Tesla cars, right? They can now go 1,000 kilometers with the new battery.
Wow.
1,000 kilometers, and
without a recharge.
They're very close to within one or two more. What's a new evolution or the next evolution?
Generation.
One or two more, they'll be able to do planes.
Well, that would be no. But coming back to that 1,000 kilometers, that's a game changer for people like me who drive a lot in a day. Like I need a long drive, So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, and you won't be able to buy a gas car in Europe or in England or a diesel car in 10 years. By 2030, there'll be no more.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that when the arguments against space advancement, things like that have been well, no, we have problems here on Earth. We have people living in poverty and things. And I think those are all legitimate things. And we do have to fix those things. I guess isn't it a reasonable expectation that we have to fix those things before we leave the planet or we start to go out into space? I don't know. It's a tough one.
You've done at the same time.
Yeah, you can do two things at the same time as well. Yeah, it's not they don't have to be exclusive. But I think that's why space travel has lost funding from taxpayers, because they say, well, why would we spend money on that when we could spend?
I think for the evolution of these batteries and where that's going to go in the next 5 to 10 years is if you can find out who's the company who's going to be building those batteries, that would be a good stock to buy. I'll tell you right here.
We have an investment section here on the TED Trek. So
that's going to be such a game changer, because it's going to change every car in the world from gas and diesel to.
No, you're absolutely right. Energy sources, being able to travel at faster speeds. These are things that we know it will change our way of life, our society.
It's almost space age to a certain degree.
Yeah, give it another 30 years.
But it's almost space age-like in that we can take our cars that are, look in the cars in the city of Toronto. How many million cars are there? 3 million, 4 million cars?
Probably more.
5 million? Well, all of those cars will become battery operated in less than 10 years. And that's just Toronto. I'm not talking about New York, Boston, all over the world. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of cars have to be changed or new cars bought.
Sorry, I missed these. There's some comments here from Jody.
He
said, have a good show, guys. I have to work, can't be there. He said that was an F1004 Interceptor. Okay.
F-104.
Project Blue Book was in full swing at this point, so UFOs were very much on the Air Force focus. Yeah, totally. You were right, Dave. The uniforms are wrong. They were missing and the wrong. The ties were missing and the wrong colors. Yes, thank you, Jody. And the challenge in Columbia were the 2 shows that exploded.
Jody, the man of much wisdom this week.
He had a whole bunch of comments I missed, so I'm throwing them all up here. And the lithium is needed for these batteries. I have stock in the. So Jody's way ahead of you on this on these investments. So
these batteries are actually switching away from lithium into something else. I could be wrong on that.
Let's segue here. Without Jody here, we're going to throw in Adam for fun facts.
All right, I'm ready. Okay, actor Roger Perry, who is Captain Christopher, liked his Starfleet uniform so much, he asked DeForest Kelly if he could take the shirt home. Kelly replied, well, if they frown upon that, but you could possibly just stick it in your bag and nobody's going to say anything. Perry decided not to do that, but after seeing the eventual success and the legacy of Star Trek, he regretted that he didn't take the shirt home.
Oh, well, it is a nice shirt. What would you do if you were Captain Christopher?
I would definitely.
No.
That is a nice shirt. I got to give it to you.
It fits him.
It fits him well.
All right. The footage of the Earth was actually reused from the episode from Miri.
Oh, I have that actually.
Yeah, you gotta get Miri in there.
Yeah, I gotta get Miri.
We gotta get Miri, a reference to Miri.
That's complete in to my hat to Jody, who's not here today. So, this is the only episode to end up with a close up of George Takei before the final Enterprise flyaway.
Is it the only? He must have loved that. No one's a bigger fan of George Takei than George Takei.
Notice the orbit when they orbited the Earth in this episode. The Earth seems super big, like way bigger than any other planet they ever orbited ever. You know, like you can only see it.
There's a kind of tip to that because it actually looks scale for once because it
looks scale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Warp Factor 5, Captain. Okay. This is the first episode where the Enterprise visits the Earth during its 5-year mission. And then here's a continuity issue. Kirk's assertion that there are only 12 starships like the Enterprise in the fleet is contradicted in this episode.
I'm like, there's more than 12. We see more than 12 in the course of this show. Like, I think we've seen at least twice that.
There's 14 actually.
What year was this episode though? What was this?
This is early. This is this is episode 19 of season 1. No,
yeah,
episode
so
21.
we might have only been 12 at that point.
Yeah, it's early. It's just it's a little bit before they've kind of established all their things. Like season 1 just has a few holes in it like that.
Yeah.
All right. This is the last episode in which Spock's rank is stated as a lieutenant commander.
It's wrong. He was wearing the braids of a commander, full commander.
I think he called though, wasn't he?
No, Kirk definitely refers to him in dialogue as lieutenant commander, but his uniform says commander.
Yeah. What else? Just like the episode, there's not much here really. Kirk tells Captain Christopher that the Enterprise operates under the authority of the United Earth Space Probe Agency, which Kirk describes as a combined service. And then Christopher presumes that this is the Navy. So, I guess when we had this conversation before, but when did they start talking about the Federation?
Well, they've definitely talked about the Federation before this. The next episode right after this is the Return of the Archons. Which they do reference the Federation, but it's very like again season 1. It's not they don't have all like their mythology and sort of the world they have here sort of kind of really figured out. But the United Earth Space Agency is like is the predecessor to Starfleet, but is kind of a separate thing, I think. But because this episode is so liked that they do bring references to that back a few times. They stay pretty faithful to it.
All right. And that's all I got, Dave. Not a lot. All
right. Well, that's good. And then let's get into our ratings. I did some revamps on the data, as I am a data guy. not like the Android. And so I've even thrown in here some details like directors and star dates and things like that. If we ever want to know those things, and we can also do some filters.
Ooh, you're getting very technical.
I'm getting very technical. But Dad, why don't you start us off?
I would rate this one a bit higher than normal, 8.5 for me.
8.5. Okay.
Yep.
And I'm gonna give this. I'll give this an 8. Good for me. Adam?
I'm going with 8.5 too. It was good.
Jody gave it an 8.
After a couple,
Jody gave an 8.
He texted it on his on the thing.
after a couple tough weeks, I think this was one of the better episodes we've seen in a while. So,
all right, so that comes out to an 8.3 for the 4 of us tonight on the panel. This has an 8 on IMDb. That's that's pretty close, and an 8.1. So, just want to reference the people. This was directed by Michael Hurley. This was a DC Fontana story, and she's definitely one of the best Star Trek writers in not just the TOS era, but also the Next Gen era. And whatever. But Dad, if you wanted to know what are the top 10 episodes, we can now tell you those kinds of things.
Oh, let's have it. Sort?
I can tell you. Yeah, let's get it. So we want the top 10. All right, these are our top 10 episodes as they stand right now. The City on the Edge of Forever, Balance of Terror, The Doomsday Machine, Journey to Babel, Mirror Mirror, The Devil in the Dark, Space Seed, The Ultimate Computer, Amok Time, and the Galileo 7. So unfortunately, Tomorrow is Yesterday did not make it into our top 10, but it was.
How do you do this, Dave? Hold on a sec here. This isn't the panel average, though, is it?
These are the top 10. These are the top 10 scores in this particular column.
Yeah, but that's 8.9 isn't higher than 9.1.
No, they're not in order. They're not in order.
Oh, they're not ranked in order.
They're not ranked in order, but these are the top 10.
Mirror Mirror is number 1 then.
Mirror Mirror is number 1. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't do a resort based on that, but yes. Yeah, but I can also tell your top 10 episodes though. Yeah, if I want to just know your top 10 episodes, Dad, I can look at that. So yours are a little different. These are the ones you've given the highest ratings to. Piece of the Action, Corbomite Maneuver, The Menagerie, The City on the Edge of Forever. A lot of the same ones. Because your scores helped bring those episodes up. But you have some different ones. Like Trouble of Tribbles is on your list. It's clearly on mine. I give it a 10. So little things like that.
Not on Adams though.
Not on Adams. He didn't give it that high.
Well,
he's not a Tribble-lite. But as we mentioned, we are going to be doing Assignment Earth next, which is it's near the end of the second season. We'll be doing season 2, episode 26.
With the great Gary 7.
The great Gary 7. Yes.
Oh, it's Gary 7? Excellent.
No, I'm not happy about this. Like, I was like, Dad's like, we have to get it over with. I was like, all right, fine. But
I think
Jane's had this episode on a couple times, and I'm like, what is this? Is this Star Trek? And it's very off to me.
There's some neat computer stuff in this one. You got to remember, Star Trek being advanced. They had some neat computer stuff in this that was really leading edge for the time. Even though the Star Trek is obviously a lot of leading edge stuff as well, but the computers that Gary 7 had was cool.
Hey, question. Doesn't Gary 7 have a Doctor Who sonic screwdriver type thing?
No, he had the pussycat with him.
He's got the cat. Doesn't the cat turn into a woman?
Yeah, at the end, yeah. Not for very long.
What was this, like a crossover with another show? Is that what happened?
Yeah, Doctor
Who.
I
don't know. I don't think so.
No, Gary 7. Who's Gary 7?
He was this guy from the future that came back from this unknown planet. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get into it next week. I am ready to talk about Assignment Earth for sure.
Oh god. And Gary 7 looks like those typical late 60s guys on TV. He's just perfect for this role. Oh my god. He
almost looks like an FBI guy. He has that FBI look about him.
Yeah.
He's like a Get Smart.
He's a G-man.
Yeah.
He's a G-man. So All right, I can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be great. Okay, so that's pretty much wrapping up for tonight's podcast. We do lots of here on Live Long and Podcast, Star Trek podcast. So Tuesdays we do Deep Space Nine. We just watched The House of Quark last night. We're into season 3. We're doing all those episodes in order. So check out. We'll be doing season 3, episode 4 next week, Equilibrium, which is a Dax episode. We do here original series rewatches on Wednesdays, 7 o'clock. Or we'll be doing Assignment Earth, as mentioned, next week, as we continue our trek to watch all the original series, not in order. And then on Thursday, we got nothing this week for Star Trek, but on Saturday we have Live Long. We have our Star Trek Radio Theater. We're going to be doing original series this week, and we're going to be doing The Return of the Archons. As Adam, you'll be in this production, playing Marplon and Hecom. We watched this in the podcast way a long time ago. I don't remember if you were on that podcast.
I wasn't, so I'm going to watch it ahead of time. So I'll be good.
This one is amazing. I can't wait to do this one because this is it aired right after the episode we covered tonight, where they're undercover on this planet called Beta 9. So we're looking forward to doing that on Saturday. And also we have our other channel, Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, where we cover a number of things, reality TV shows and some scripted ones. And starting tonight, we have Big Brother Canada 9, as Jaemeel Robinson and I will be jumping into the Have Not room as we cover this 10-week show here in Canada, as they've locked 14 different house guests into a place without their phones, without the internet, for 90 days. And they're going to vote each other out one by one. Jaemeel and I are going to break it all down as we continue.
Where does this come from, Dave?
This is in Canada. This is a global TV.
Yeah, but what city does it come from, or do you know?
Mississauga.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they film it in Mississauga, so that's where the Big Brother Canada house is, and it's going to be it's going to be really interesting covering that for the next 10 weeks as I try to juggle all these podcasts. We'll be on 3 times a week, so tonight and Thursday, and then starting next week will be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So here we go. Plus live feeds. It's a busy time. And we also have Trivial Debates, our other channel, where we argue about movies, TV, sports, and more. We just had an episode last Sunday with Jeff hosting. We had Jessica Chan, Jaemeel Robinson, and Chris Seymour. I'm sorry, all competing. That was a great episode. Check that out if you haven't already.
Who won?
Jaemeel won. Jameel's reigning champ. He's wearing the belt right now. He mentioned last night. Yeah, it was a really fun episode, and definitely worth checking out if you haven't already. So I think we can close the book on Tomorrow is Yesterday. It's yesterday. It's yesterday's news. Yeah. We're moving on. So those are all our channels, all our shows. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Adam, and we'll
good luck in your next time later on.
Yeah, I'll see you tonight if you're watching Big Brother again. I'll see you at 9.
You can shut out Edmonton again.
Yeah. Until then, live long.